Hello tonight. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and we're speaking with drummer Jason Lee. How do you pronounce your last name, Jason?
Beckwith. Jason Beckwith.
Beckwith. Okay. And of course, you were the drummer in the Los Angeles-based Kiss Live tribute band, which of course is a tribute to Kiss. How long has the band been around?
Well, this band's been around probably about 3 years or so in the format, in the way that it is now. Rocco and our most recent bass player and frontman, and our guitar player Randy, who plays our spaceman, they were in kind of a club version of they had their own Kiss tribute for a while called Kiss Crusade.
Okay.
And I had put together what basically turned into this with our original guitar player, John Douglas. He and I put it together probably about 3 years ago. We found a great bass player, and we found a guy that we thought that was going to make a great star child. And about 6 months into rehearsals, and our bass player passed away in the middle of the night.
Oh, wow.
He went to sleep one night, had a heart attack, and didn't wake up. Poor guy. His name was Tim Garcia, and he was actually the original bass player for Mickey Rat, which is the band that went on to become Rat later in life.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They're still a San Diego club band called Mickey Rat, and their logo was like a kind of a rat with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Off on Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
Story goes that Disney didn't take too kindly of it, so the name got changed, and the rest is history.
Wow. Wow. How interesting that is. Yeah, and speaking of Rocco, a couple weeks back I had interviewed him, and he was still in the band, and he emailed the other day after I posted his interview saying that he was no longer with the band. Do you mind getting any of that? What happened there?
Well, to be honest with you, it's still pretty fresh, and I'm trying to be respectful of Rocco. Like he kind of seems to be of me and of us and what's going on right now. So I really don't want to throw anybody under the bus. It really does take two to tango. You know what I mean? And I can be kind of a hard guy to work with sometimes. And I've been accused of being a control freak by a lot of people in the past, and I take that. Especially when it's something that I really care about. I kind of wear that badge with pride, to be honest with you. But sometimes it doesn't make for the best bandmate when you got a guy who's kind of strong. But my opinion is somebody's got to drive the car, I guess. But we were always kind of, I don't know. I don't want to really say.
I hear you. And
he's a real good guy. I really had a great time working with him, to be honest with you. We played a lot of great shows. He and I stood on, the Las Vegas Strip together. He and I, in our earliest version, before Randy, the guitar player that we have now, when we still had John in the band, we were on Fremont Street. We headlined down there for 3 nights in a row with our original lead singer. And, it's just something that no one can ever take away from us, I stood next to Rocco on that stage, and I looked up, and there's our faces on the big screen on Fremont Street, And 2 hours later, the real Kiss had their own little, light show up on that thing. So we kind of shared the same video screen space in the same night with the real guys. That's kind of special stuff. I'm never going to forget stuff like that,
Yeah, well, Jason.
I just we can't work together anymore again.
Well, Jason,
I decided to take off and do his own thing, and I'm cool with that.
Well, Jason, I think that that's very big of everybody involved. That you guys are just kind of all moving on, and nobody's really bad mouthing each other. Too bad that the real Kiss couldn't, kind of be more like that. But in any event,
the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
Just give me a couple of songs. You don't even got to do makeup. Just get everybody up there.
Yeah, but in any event, I guess the next best question to ask you is, why go the route of a tribute band rather than forming a band where you'd write and record your own original music?
Tell you, I've done all of that. And at this stage of my life, I just want to have some fun. About 5 years ago, I had a heart attack or two.
Wow.
And you start hearing the clock tick a little louder. You know what I mean? And I had done an album full of original stuff. I had a band with a good friend of mine named Randy Strain. He and I had this band called Loss of Control, and it started out being a cover band. I had been fortunate enough to be, prior to that, I was a drummer in a Hendrix tribute with a guy who's actually recorded with Billy Cox, the bass player from
Wow.
the band of Gypsies. And so, he really knew his stuff, to be honest with you. And I played under that guy for about 10 years. And then one thing leads to another, and I quit that band, and I was really kind of sick of playing drums for a while. So I'm just going to start this new band. I met this great drummer, and we formed this band, and I got, it started out being a cover band, but along the way we started writing original songs. It just kind of started happening. So one day I looked up, and we got enough to put an album together. So we put 3 live tracks on the end of it to showcase kind of what we do, live covers. And then the rest of it was all original stuff. We did a song called Disconnection, which we had taken on to live TV. We did it down here on the KUSI TV station down here in San Diego. We had some fun, but it never really went anywhere. I mean, it's a young man's game, and I know that. So we're just having fun. And then, flash forward another 10 years, and it's time for me to start doing something else. And I just kind of decided, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to work up all that sweat for some original stuff at age whatever I am now, right?
Yeah.
And,
I hear you.
Or do you want to just have some fun, And I thought, for once I'm just going to do something that's just going to be for fun, something I'm just going to enjoy no matter what. And I don't want to have to slog it out in bars anymore.
Yeah.
If you have a heart attack or two, I'm on blood thinners. Long story short, the last thing I need to be doing is pouring down a bunch of alcohol. And man, when I was in cover bands, I led by example, Jack.
Yeah.
I was there to sell some drinks for the house, you know what I'm saying? So it's not really the best environment. So I thought, well, how can I really get my rocks off, play something that's really fun, have some fun crowds, and have it be something cool that maybe I could take my kid to or something, I don't have to exclude my family.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, tribute bands are a good thing for that. I said, well, okay, I'm going to start my own tribute band. And then I thought, well, what do I want to do? I've always wanted to be in a kid's tribute. When I was a little kid, I was 6 years old, Jason, and I would have like a live 2, that big, photo on the inside of the album cover of them, that classic live shot.
Yeah.
Propped up on the back of my mom's couch. I got the pillows in a semicircle, and I got chopsticks out, and I got that thing cranking on her record player, and that's where it all started for me, man. I had my brother's Kiss albums, and I'm playing pillow drums to them when I'm a kid.
Wow.
And I never got over that. So when it came time for me to do something purely for fun, I said, you know what? There's only one thing I really want to do. I'm going to do a Kiss tribute, just because it's going to be a blast. Plus Kiss tributes get the best toys,
Yeah.
You got a guy breathing fire, spitting blood, guitar is bursting into smoke, and, it's a lot of fun. I mean, what's not to love about that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's so true. And but how, on that note, I got to ask, how glad are you that you're not the guy that has to breathe the fire?
You know what, man? We all got our fun stuff. That's no problem. The way it all breaks down, anyways, it's really actually really safe. Rocco, I guess our guy was doing cornstarch, so it's really actually pretty safe.
And now let me ask you, because
I mean, I'm not the one that's got a big 2-foot fireball right, 3 inches in front of my nose too. So I'll sing Beth and hand out a rose every time. Thank you.
that's cool.
I've got to burn off my eyebrows. No problem.
Now let me ask you, Jason. Getting back to you were mentioning earlier that your original bass player Tim Garcia, who was in Mickey Rat, that he unfortunately passed away from a major heart attack. So I was curious. You mentioned you also had a heart attack. When you had your heart attack, did you have that must have really scared you? Did you ever have any doubts about carrying on with the band or continuing to play?
Well, I'll tell you, it puts a lot of things in perspective.
Yeah.
You learn really quickly what's important and what's not, where the focus should be and where it shouldn't be. I got a great wife and a great kid at home, and I'm off doing pointless shows for no reason. So I said, if I'm going to do something, it's going to count. It's going to be fun. And that's just kind of where I shifted my priorities. I mean, when I do these tribute shows, like I said, we have on Fremont Street 3 nights in a row.
Wow.
And there's my kid sitting out there, in Fremont Street in the middle of 2,000 people each night, looking up there at his dad, basically a circus clown with a better, I like to think that we kind of are rock and roll circus clowns, only instead of, we play rock and roll all night.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the point I'm trying to make is, I don't think a lot of people realize like what a physical activity playing drums actually is. I mean, do you ever have concerns that playing the drums is
Yeah, actually, there was a little bit of time where it was really kind of up in the air, to be honest with you, and I wasn't in the mood to push it. It was either remain upright or keep playing drums. I'm going to remain upright because I want to log in every spare minute I can with my family and friends.
Yeah.
I'm not about to start cutting it short just so I can get my rocks off playing drums. It's pretty selfish,
Yeah.
But then again, I really love to play. I love the feedback we get from an audience. I love that, that symbiotic relationship between a performer and his audience. It's when it's really going well. I just love that energy, and I honestly, I tell you, I believe it does me good.
Well, that's good.
I believe it does me a lot of good because I know when you've got aches and pains, or you've had a bad night, or whatever, you slept wrong, and you wake up and something stiff. Within the first 5 minutes of playing, you can't feel anything until at least an hour after the show.
Yeah.
You just can't. I mean, it just gets into you, and it's the best medicine there is, really. I love it.
Yeah.
It keeps me loose, too, It's good cardio.
Yeah, they say, it's been said many times before, rock and roll is the best medicine, I guess, really, is a universal language, and everybody seems to, get off on it. So I think
who inspires me,
yeah.
Larry from Alice in Cooperland.
Oh, yes. He went through a similar thing, a couple months back.
Larry Cornwell, he's got a pacemaker now, and he's back at it, He likes to say that, and I don't know whether this is true or not, but he says that he had to put extra long wires in there so he could still do all this Tommy Lee stuff in his crew tribute. Pull out the wires.
Yeah,
if a guy like that can get right back on it, so can I. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I guess the fun. Yeah, I guess the funny thing about Larry is, that he does that Molly Crew tribute too, like you were saying. I guess he got his heart kick-started again, too, just like Nikki Sixx. Yeah. So.
That guy's an inspiration. He's a real class act. I've been privileged to share the stage with him a few times, like up in Big Bear. We did a show together, and he's just a real nice guy. Their drummer was stuck in traffic, so I ended up sound checking with Alice in Cooperland.
Wow, how cool is that?
That was a lot of fun sitting with them for a couple songs. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
There's really great band. That guy's all class. I'll tell you.
Yeah, how cool is that? Now, I was curious, when Kiss to Life first got together, one of the greatest things about doing a Kiss tribute, like you said, is it's more than just the music. It's a spectacle. It's the whole show. It's the whole 9 yards.
Oh, yeah.
What was it like putting on that makeup for the very first time? And how long did it...
I'll tell you what, our very first show came after almost a year of working on it. I mean, literally, we were 6 months into it, and we lost somebody,
Yeah.
It just took a big hit on our hearts,
Yeah.
And so by the time we got to that show, there was so much pent up, so much built up, and not for nothing, we had some girls from one of the local gentlemen's club come down in bikinis and Kiss makeup, and we had the girl with the Kiss, and we had the drop cloth, and we had a big curtain in front, and just that, I've never felt more electricity than in the last 5 minutes when that curtain went up, and we went on stage behind the curtain, and the crowd could hear us, and we could hear them, but it was just this tension in the air. It was just amazing. If somebody would have flicked a spark of something, it would have the whole place would have exploded like it was filled with gas or something.
Wow.
Insane. And I'll never forget that when we dropped that curtain and we launched into Deuce. It's just after a year of working on it, it was just the most incredible thing. Because I've been putting on the makeup and stuff since I was a kid, Halloween and things like that. But this was real, man. There was a crowd packed full of people, and we were just on fire, ready to go. And we just came out with both barrels and gave it to them. It was awesome. It was awesome. I'll never forget that first show as long as I live.
And of course, there's countless Kiss tributes out there, but I got to tell you, Jason.
Oh yeah, I didn't know how many until we did one ourselves.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, Jason. Look at all these different bands to interview and stuff up on Facebook and stuff. Like I said, there's countless, Led Zeppelin and Kiss, and Black Sabbath tributes and Metallica tributes. My question is, your band is, even I look at the photos, I look at photos you guys have up on your page, and you guys really look authentic. Now, like I said, there's countless Kiss tributes. You guys seem to be one of the bands that really, stand out. What do you think it is about Kissed Alive that people have really taken notice to? Because even the interview I did with Rocco, we posted it like 2 days ago, and every day, the number of views is going up, and it just shows me that people are really taking notice of the band.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you what, and all due respect to anybody that's been or out of this band currently or before or whatever, we really we do it because we like it.
Yeah.
We do it because we honestly enjoy what we do. And it sounds like a cliche, but you just can't fake that, And people respond to that. They know that we're a fan like them, and we're just out there having a blast. It's not like, hey, how cool are we that we're putting on this show for us, and don't you like us? Don't you like what we're doing? That's not the vibe we're putting out there, man. The vibe that we're putting out there is, isn't this cool that you and I get to do this together? You know what I mean? Isn't this cool that we're all partying here together tonight? That's what it's about. It's a we. It's not a us versus a them. There's no line. You know what I mean? Not for us, and there never was. And I think people saw that from the beginning. It was honest. It's an honest enthusiasm, just like they have. I mean, Kiss fans. You take a lot of lumps being Kiss fans over the years. Oh, they're not great musicians. Oh, they're one step from final. Oh, they're Gene's greedy. Oh, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But you know what? People that like it, they like it. You know what I mean? And we share that bond, and that's what it is. And I think, honestly, it sounds cliche to say it, but I think that's what people have responded to. I think it's just an honest enthusiasm that we share with them.
Yeah, see, I got to tell you, Jason, part of the reason I started interviewing guys like you that playing these tribute bands is because I've been to several of these shows myself, and there's really a huge misconception by a lot of people that think, these guys that play in the tribute bands, they're failed musicians, they couldn't make it doing their own thing, but people don't realize all the hard work and dedication goes into.
It takes a lot of work.
Yeah, because again, like we're talking, Kiss fans are diehards, and so you can't just get up on stage and jeans and t-shirts and do a Kiss show.
I'll tell you what, just for even being a tribute band, we have to be on at our venue now a minimum of 3-4 hours before any show takes place. That's just minimum. It takes probably a good hour to assemble our sign. That takes kind of a little bit. It takes a good hour and a half to do the makeup. And then, of course, you've got an hour for sound checking and stuff like that. So, that's a couple hours right there. I mean, it's just a process. It's not like just roll it up and do it. And that's what's kind of the hardest thing at first is sometimes people, have a misconception, because you're a club band or something. And they figure that, you just roll up and you do the thing. And we've had okay, you've got a sound check at 7, you go on 8. Well, a band that wears all these big funky costumes, it's not like we can be out there moving gear around or things like that. Or, okay, you can put your drums up and the sign up in between bands. You got 15 minutes to change over. It doesn't work like that, So we've had to be a little bit more careful about where we book our shows, but that works out for the better in the long run anyways, because it tends to be a venue where you can have a wider range of people in there, and it turns out to be a lot better time.
And I'd imagine when you guys do shows with other tribute acts, being that you guys really look the part of Kiss and you go all the whole 9 yards of all the bombs and exploits, the other bands you're playing with, you kind of really give them a run for their money.
Well, I'll tell you this. We've never seen it as any kind of a competitive sport.
No, not at all. But yeah.
But it's hard to follow a good Kiss tribute band.
Yeah.
It really is, because it's just so over the top. I feel the same way about Cooperland. Really, it's just such an over the top, exhaustive experience. It's interactive and it's exhaustive, and you just are thrashed by the end of it. People are singing along. They know every word to every song. They're emotionally invested in the music, and it's a hard act to follow.
Yeah, one thing.
But I'll tell you this: the times that we don't have to go last, I actually prefer. Like if there's 3 or 4 bands in the night, for us the best spot is right before the last band, because once we're done, people start heading out the doors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we like to hang out, and people like to get their photo taken with the band and stuff like that. So, we always just have like a good hour or so to hang out with the crowd and stuff like that. And by the time we're done playing, they're pretty tired.
And now, when you're up on that stage, I was curious, Jason. Of course, you're paying a tribute to the legendary Kiss, but when you got the makeup on and you're performing, do you really get into the Peter Criss mode, if you know what I mean? When you're up on stage, you really feel like...
I'll tell you what, it really is transformative.
Yeah.
It really is. You put that stuff on, and I don't want to say that I get up there thinking I'm Peter Criss.
Of course not. Of course not. Yeah, yeah.
I don't have any delusions like that or anything.
No.
I will say that you do kind of it does kind of take over in a way. It really does. I mean, you get lost in the performance. It's almost a separation of reality of sorts.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I just let it go. I encourage it and foster it, because just some nights you lose yourself, and it's a lot easier to get absorbed in the performance when you're not hung up on your appearance.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly the point I was trying to make, because I've heard Alice Cooper himself actually say, when I'm up on stage, I'm in the stage makeup and that. Alice is a separate character. When I come up on, when I come off the stage, I'm just average Joe or whatever. I'm a regular human being, but
Vincent.
Vincent. Yeah.
Vincent Fournier.
Yeah. And so now let me ask you, Jason. One thing I really loved about Kiss, being a fan myself, is there's more than like one lead singer, although like Gene and Paul may sing majority because they write majority of his stuff, but every once in a while you'd get an Ace tune or a Peter tune. So do you guys all get to sing during the show?
Oh yeah. Like you say, the main focal point is between the Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley characters, as it should be. I mean, on stage, off stage, in the business dealings, in every part of being a band, somebody's got to drive the car in that life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And on stage, if you've got everybody trying to, let's say, talk to the crowd, you know what I mean? It becomes a mess. Too many cooks spoil the broth, right? So you've got to have one guy that really does the bulk of the communication between the crowd and the audience. That's the Paul Stanley character.
Yeah.
And you've got to have a guy who really just wows you. You know what I mean? That's the Gene Simmons character, and they both do the bulk of the lead singing. But yeah, we do we do a couple songs that I would sing regularly. Would be Beth, of course, and Black Diamonds. Was usually a good one at the end. And then of course we've got a couple of Ace Frehley tunes that we would regularly do. Shock Me. We did some flirting around with New York Groove when we went to Vegas last year. And we had recently put in Rocket Ride.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, we're having a lot of fun.
And have you ever done any Peter tunes like Cool Again or anything off his 78 solo album?
We're tossing that stuff around. I think we had. Funny you mentioned Cool Again. We had talked about doing that. We had talked about. We were actually just starting to add some deeper stuff. Like a real good favorite of mine that we had just started adding in was Almost Human.
Oh, cool.
One of the Gene songs. That was a real cool tune, actually.
Yeah, and I haven't had a chance to hear it myself, but I was wondering if you had a chance to hear. They recently put out a re-release of Love Gun with some extended demos and stuff.
The remaster?
Yeah, have you had a chance to check that out?
No, I haven't heard it yet, but I understand that sonically it's just a big step up. I'm looking forward to it, actually, because I still have the vinyl. Actually, I don't have a vinyl player anymore, but I still have the vinyl out in my garage for that.
Yeah,
I've got a lot of memories of listening to those three albums that came out during that time frame. Rock and Roll, Over, Love Gun, and Destroyer. That was really the bulk of where I started. Then I went backwards and forwards from there.
Yeah, and speaking of Kiss, I was curious. What do you think of their latest album, Monster? Are you much of a fan of that?
Well, you know what? I think there's value in just about every single album they put out. You got to take it for what it is.
Yeah.
Look at it, like any other album, there's good stuff and there's bad stuff. If you get beyond the purist versus non-argument, then if you look at the albums for just being an independent work of art, or a collection of art, let's say, you look at it on its own merits. I mean, like Psycho Circus, even though it really wasn't the reunion album people thought it was I love the title track.
Yeah.
I loved Into the Void. I thought that was awesome. It's classic sounding, you know. Didn't really hit the mark. I thought, let's see, Sonic Boom was good. Didn't it have Modern Day Delilah on it? I thought that was a great tune. Let me see, Monster, what did that have? Say Yeah. I don't know if that was on Sonic Boom or not, but there's been a couple of tunes off the last couple of albums that I've really liked. You know, you just got to get beyond the whole who's in the band thing and just look at it for what whoever's playing the song, whatever. Did you like the song? You know what I mean? Do you like how it sounds? Because, you know, that whole purist argument goes out the window because, all right, well, what was your favorite Ace song? You know, your favorite Kiss song? Oh, well, you know, I liked Larger Than Life off of Alive, too. Man, back when they were, you know, still the real band. Yeah, well, Ace really didn't play on Larger Than Life. Bob Kulick.
Yeah.
Bruce Kulick's older brother.
Yeah.
You know, as he did on every song on that side of Alive 2, except for the one that Ace really sang.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, Bob Kulick doesn't get nearly a lot of the credit. Him and Dick Wagner did some stuff on the guy that played in the Alice Cooper band. Dick Wagner did some stuff on
Destroyer.
Destroyer. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and I was curious, you know, about the last 2 or 3 Kiss albums. Do you guys ever throw any of that material into your set?
Well, you know, we had just started working on Psycho Circus, actually, and I think we had also worked on Delilah a little bit, too.
That's pretty cool. You know, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. You know, people need to get, you know, to me, I put on I get a CD, I put it on, and I give it the ear test. You know, if I put it on and I like how it sounds, that's all that matters. I don't really care, you know, if Eric Singer or Peter Criss play an album. You know,
good music is good music, you know, and I'm a fan of the band through all the years. I mean, I came of age in the 80s, and that was when they had Eric Carr and, of course, Bruce Kulick. That was, you know, my time as a teenager was during that era. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess I got, you know, 2 sides to the argument. But how do you feel about the whole thing? People say, you know, like Peter and Eric, or I mean Tommy and Eric should be wearing their own characters. I mean, do you?
Well, you know what? I see both sides of that.
Yeah.
You know, having been in a bunch of bands, I can see both sides of that.
Yeah.
You know, there's something to be said for the original chemistry. You know, I got to be honest with you. The last couple of years, the lineup that I've enjoyed in Kiss Alive has produced some really good shows, and I'm going to miss, you know, that particular foursome of people playing together on stage. To be honest with you, all the BS and the politics and the arguments and stuff aside, that was a strong 4 people. But, you know, not everybody stays on the same page all the time, you know.
Yeah.
There's difference of opinion, and sometimes you can fix them, and sometimes you can't, you know. And sometimes people walk out the door, sometimes they're asked to leave, you know.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. Do you stop at that point, you know? It depends, you know. I mean, I think if you can help it, you keep going.
Yeah.
Like Led Zeppelin, I admire what they did. I think they probably gave it a little bit of a try and quickly figured out it wasn't ever going to work right for them. But when you've got a band like Kiss, I think, you know, like I said, the whole who's wearing the makeup, who's on the records, it goes out the window for me, because a true fan of the band will know that it wasn't always what it seemed, and it was always like that, almost from very early on. At least by the mid to late 70s, there was people ghosting on their albums, you know what I mean? And that was their biggest era of all time, was the late 70s, arguably. Those big, huge, like Alive 2 era shows.
Yeah.
And even by that time, there was already people that had ghosted on the albums. So people that have a hard time with Eric Singer being in Peter's makeup, let's say, or Tommy Thayer up there as the Spaceman, I get it. And as a real big fan of Ace Frehley, and a friend of a guy actually that was in Frehley's Comet for a long time, I feel a loyalty to that original stuff, and I prefer it. Mm-hmm. But I understand the other side of the coin. You know, it's business and it's music.
Because to me,
you know, who's in the makeup? Well, I don't know. Who was on the album back in '77? Yeah. You know, I mean, it is what it is.
Because I will say this, that like I seen Kiss this last summer on their tour of Def Leppard, and then the previous year when they did the tour of Motley Crue, and both times, you know, it was a cool thing because you have not one headline band, but like 2 headliners, you know, plus an opening band, and both the headliners put on, you know, like a a monster show, let's say, and so you got your money's worth. And the thing is, I remember during one of those shows, Tommy Thayer actually got up and did Shock Me, and he really.
I know, I saw it. I saw them on that Motley Crue tour, man.
And he really
did that. It was really, really cool.
It was really cool, and to me, it didn't even matter if it wasn't Ace Frehley. I've seen the original Kiss before myself, but I thought, for what Tommy does, that's a dynamite show, and they all.
You know what? They were doing Black Diamond with Eric Carr back in the day.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah, and so to me, and when you look out in the audience, it didn't look to me like there's that many people complaining that Tommy and Eric were up there on stage. I mean, it was a full crowd. You look out in the audience, half,
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I was really impressed lately. I just saw some footage from one of the recent Kiss cruises, or one of the kickoffs to the most recent Kiss cruise, and they were wearing the suits. Did you see those clips?
Yeah, Dressed to Kill.
Suits.
Yeah.
And they opened up with Creatures of the Night.
Wow.
And watching them play Creatures of the Night, but dressed in those suits, man, I'll tell you what, I was like, there's some life in this car yet. Those guys were up there giving it all, and it really sounded good. For a while there, their sound I thought was getting really over-processed and just really so dense and layered in shows that you weren't sure what was organic and what wasn't. But this is a different vibe. Those guys were out there just playing it like a lean, mean foursome, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and Jason, I know you got to get going, but before I let you go, there's two more things I want to cover with you, like we discussed. You mentioned the song Deuce a little bit ago. You were talking about when you guys did that first show as Kissed Alive, and the very first song you played was Deuce. Interesting enough, which I always hear Gene Simmons talk about. That's his favorite Kiss song for the simple fact that that's the first track in the first Kiss album. That's the first thing most people heard when they heard Kiss for the very first time. So you sent me a little clip of something you guys recently recorded, a version of Deuce.
Yes, I did.
It's going to be appearing on this tribute album. So can you talk a little bit about that? And
yeah, you know what? I can kind of let that out of the bag now. For a little while, I kind of had to keep that under wraps.
Okay.
But we were fortunate enough to be part of something really cool. Versailles Records, which is a label that does a lot of tribute albums, although they do other stuff as well.
Yeah.
But they do a lot of this stuff, and they're putting together a 2-CD tribute to Kiss called Rock and Roll All Night, and it's going to have a lot of cool bands on there, like current former members of like Guns N' Roses and things like that, and just a lot of really cool bands. And they're going to have a track by something called Kiss Alive and Friends.
Okay.
Actually, I got us on there. We're going to be one of the only, if not the only, tribute act on the entire CD. I called them up and I said, look, if you guys are going to do this, why not give one track for the fans? Let's have a tribute band be on there. And I said, did anyone have Deuce? And he says, no, not yet. I said, well, I want that song because that just starts it all, And we were going to do a live track, and we kind of made it, let's just say it's about as live
as you can get.
Some of the stuff on Kiss Alive, okay?
Yeah.
But it was kind of an homage to that, We piped in some live, some crowd noise and stuff like that. It was kind of an homage to some of that stuff where, maybe it was live, maybe it wasn't, but you liked it anyways, you know what I mean? I mean, my favorite album of all time is Kiss Alive. Hands down, I could sit and listen to that back to front for hours still today. At age 44, I could still do it, okay? And some of those songs are most definitely not live, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Alive too, same thing. And you know what? I don't care because it's a great sounding album. I mean, Eddie Kramer produced it, you know what I mean? That's Hendrix's guy. That's just a great sounding album, And so that's kind of what we did with this. We had some fun with it. And not everybody in the band was able to participate, so we got a couple of guys from the band currently, and let's see, we've got myself on drums, and I did most of the lead vocals, and then our current Paul Stanley, Mr. Vinny J, he did all the background vocals, and that part in Deuce where it says "do it," that kind of stuff. That's all the stuff that requires high notes. I brought Vinny the man in because he's got the high notes. He's definitely got some high notes. If you've ever seen us do Love Gun in concert,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, at the end of that song, he's hitting some notes that I'm surprised anybody but bats can hear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's got some stuff. He's got the goods, all right? So I called him in to help me out on the vocals. And then interestingly enough, speaking of my co-founder in this whole circus, John Douglas, who kind of retired from playing for a while after we did the Fremont Street gigs, he came out of hiding and came out and did all the guitars on the track for me.
Wow.
So we've got current and former members of Kiss Alive on the track.
Well, that's cool.
There's a real good friend of mine named Gavin Jones that I've been playing with for countless of years, came and did the tracks for the band.
Well, I'm definitely, aware of a record label that puts out these great tribute albums. Like you said, I heard some of their past stuff. I can't wait to hear. I've already heard your track, but I can't wait to hear of other bands that are on it. Sounds like a lot of great people involved. How long did it take you guys to record your version of Deuce?
We did the tracking all in one day, and then the mixing was done over a period of about 2 weeks.
Cool.
What you heard was a bit of a rough mix.
Yeah.
The little preview that I sent you. We tried to keep it as organic as possible. I didn't want to spend a bunch of time, working on it and overthinking it because I wanted to go for a live feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wanted it to have energy and vibe. You know what I mean? So we went in there and we just banged it out. And some of the stuff we tracked separately, but we did it all in one day. And I think that gave it a sense of urgency that I think translates. I think you can hear that. I think you can hear the energy when you hear the track. It was done at Magnetron Studios, which is attached to our booking agency, Music Zirconia.
Oh, okay.
All the big shows that we do, whenever we have to get on a plane to go somewhere cool, it's from Music Zirconia. Those guys are awesome. They've been our booking agency since almost the beginning.
And as far as the tribute CD, I was curious, was this a matter of you reading about that they were doing this project and you got in touch with the label? Did you send them videos?
Yeah, I've had a habit of doing that over the years. If I see something and go, wow, it'd be cool to have my band down there, then I go, well, how can I get my band down there? So you send in a thing, sometimes they're looking for submissions on Craigslist, things like that. And I sent it in and I said, hey, do you still need anybody? And they said, well, what do you got going on? I said, here's what I think. And they said, let's do it. And you sign this, you sign that, and pretty soon you're in the studio cutting the track.
Yeah, and I was curious, Jason, out here in LA, they have this thing called Access TV's World's Greatest Tribute Bands. Have you ever?
Yeah. Mr. Speed was just on that last season. Those are a bunch of great guys. They're really good at what they do.
Have you ever thought about trying to get your band on that?
Oh, yeah. Actually, we've talked to them. I've talked to Katie a couple times, the host. We've been in a little bit of contact. Of course, they had Mr. Speed, so they're not going to follow it up with...
right away, another Kiss tribute.
But we've definitely talked to them, and that would be something very cool to do. They're doing something that nobody else is doing right now this side of Eddie Trunk.
Yeah.
They're flying the flag for some really cool music, and actually, nobody's putting tribute bands on TV right now except for Katie Darrell and Access.
That's a cool.
So they're really doing something cool.
That's a cool thing, and I don't think a lot of people realize besides her, but one of the other guys that's a producer that's involved in it is Ryan Seacrest.
That's right. He's like one of the
top guys
that runs the whole Access thing, right?
Yeah. It's just kind of an interesting thing, like you said, that it's a great way to showcase these tribute bands, and the acts they've had on there have just been really, really super. And I could talk to you all night, Jason. Before I let you go, the last thing I kind of wanted to touch base on was you said that Rocco recently left and going through some lineup changes. I was curious if you've already got the replacement members in the band. If you're auditioning, what's the process with that?
Well, I'll tell you, we have our next show scheduled was to be the Rock and Roll Marathon out in Las Vegas. It was supposed to be the third year in a row. We find ourselves playing outdoors on the Strip, in front of 30,000 runners and a couple thousand spectators and whatnot. And that was coming up a week from this Sunday, as of the day that I'm doing this interview anyway. And, obviously we don't want to go out there and be anything less than spectacular.
Yeah.
We've put a lot of work into it. The guys that have been in this band, even the guys that aren't here, we put a lot of work into this, and it would be a shame to take something that was anything less than what we've already been serving up, So we decided to put that on hold and get the right guy, or a girl. I'm open. We're talking to already. It's looking really good. I mean, it's a very short list of people that can kind of pull this kind of gig off. You know what I mean? You really got to have something special to be able to get into this kind of character. It's not just put some clothes on and look the part and get up there and do your thing. This is full contact sport. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to be sitting there front and center. So they've got some pretty big shoes to fill too. I'll be honest with you. You know, the guys that they're going to replace did a really good job. So we don't want to go out there with anything less than spectacular. So we're going to take a little bit of time off, and we're going to find the right person. In the meantime, we've got the tribute album coming out. It's due in early December, like I said, from Versailles Records. And so that's going to be coming out probably within, I don't know, maybe a month and a half. I think it'll hit the ground for certain by Christmas. So everybody can order a copy or download our track or, you know, download some of the other tracks or whatever, you know, put them in somebody's Christmas stocking. So that's going to be coming out. And then we've already got some stuff scheduled for the spring that I guarantee are going to be some of our best shows ever because we're going to come out with a vengeance. We're going to be up in Big Bear on March 7th.
Okay.
And we've got a couple of warm-up gigs scheduled in the early spring before that. So it's actually going to be a really cool year. We got some really cool things coming up. And it's going to start with the CD coming out here in a few weeks.
Cool. As far as picking the new members, the last thing I want to ask about that is, do you think it'll be a matter of having them actually come down and physically audition? Do you think you'll be able to make the decision by maybe looking at a couple of different videos that people submit?
I'll tell you what, it's a little bit of both. Having already had to go through a lot of that, like when we first got Rocco in the band, you know, we auditioned a bunch of guys, and some of them you can just hear on the phone that's just not working out.
Yeah.
Some of them you can look at a video and say, you know what, I think we can work with that. Or you look at it and go, no, that's just not going to happen. You know, and it comes in all forms. Sometimes you're watching a video and you know, and sometimes you got to actually get them in a room with them. It's kind of a step-by-step process. You know, you look at the videos, send in some stuff, or you know, a friend who knows a friend. I very rarely take to doing any kind of advertising for it because, to be honest, it's a short list of people that can pull this kind of a gig off and who get it. You know what I mean? And usually, you already know all those people, and most of the people we've spoken with are coming from existing KISS tributes in Southern California or the Southwest. I don't want to say anybody's names.
Yeah, I hear you.
We're still in the band.
Yeah, I hear you.
They know a good thing. To be honest with you, we've got a good reputation. We've worked really hard at it, and they know that if they get on board with KISS Alive, it's going to be something real special. So, you know, we're looking. We're just going to take our time, and I imagine within the next few weeks we'll probably have something good in mind. Certainly within the next month or so. But we're not going to rush it.
Yeah.
There's no reason to rush it because we've bought ourselves a little bit of time. So my solo band, Jason Lee and Friends, is going to go out and cover the marathon gig. We're out in front of the Palazzo on Sunday, November 16th it is, for the Rock and Roll Marathon. I'm going to be out there with another band called Groove Kitty, some great friends of ours. And we're going to be out there hanging out and stuff, and then we'll just take our time and look for somebody real cool. Like I said, I don't care if it's a guy or a girl. To be honest with you, I would love it. I'm not speaking for the rest of the guys in the band, and it's all democratic from here on out and stuff, you know, but if I had my way, we would have a female.
That'd be cool.
I think, you know, they have that band Chris.
I was going to ask you about that. If you've ever...
Female, they're great. They're awesome. I had the pleasure of gigging with a couple of them when they were still a band called Kisses, I think. And I was drumming in a Sabbath tribute at the time.
Wow.
And, you know, they're really cool what they do. But nobody's got a co-ed. You know, it's either all girls or all guys. You know what I mean? And nobody's mixing it up. So I don't want to say too much and have somebody steal my idea.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know, if we can find somebody of the opposite gender than everybody else in the band, I think that would be cool to get a different point of view up there. I think it would be really something special. As a guy who likes to see bands, I would go to see that.
Yeah.
Which, funny enough, is the criteria for KISS in the first place, right? You listen to interviews with Paul and Gene, and their whole foundation from the beginning was, we wanted to be the band that we wanted to see in the audience, but we never got to see. We wanted to see bombs going off. We wanted to see a smoking guitar and stuff, but we never got to. Well, that's what we're doing with this band.
Well, cool. And the very last thing I'm going to ask you is, if this is even possible, is there an album or a couple albums that you can say like is your all-time favorite Kiss album, or give me like your top two or whatever.
Oh, without question, Kiss Alive, hands down my favorite album, Kiss Alive. I could listen to that thing back and forth. In my teenage years, I would take that on cassette tape, which, okay, for those who are
Yeah.
know about cassette tapes,
Right here.
tell them that it was CDs. Wait a minute. Okay, CDs were these things. But no, I used to sit there, like there's a song on there, Hotter Than Hell.
Yeah.
And I think it opens up with a power chord. You hear just a little click of the sticks, and then it just hits this big, fat power chord. And I would I swear, like I was Rain Man, I would sit there, rewind it, listen to the
Yeah.
and just rewind it, and rewind it. And I would do that over and over again for 15, 20 minutes before I would let the song play.
Yeah, and I love the God of Thunder off that. And the last thing I'm gonna say about Kiss Alive, which you kind of brought up earlier, is to me, you put that on. That's one of that and Cheap Trick Live at Budokan. Those are two albums you put on, and they sound so raw, live and in your face. So you think you're at the concert. And to me, it doesn't even matter. Like you said, all these years later, it's come out that some of that was studio overdub. I think a lot of people have problems with thinking, oh, hey, I was fooled or I was tricked. But again, if you put that record on, it sounds that good. It sounds like you're there. It shouldn't even matter.
Yeah, if it's good, it's good. Does it sound good? Then that's all you need to worry about. In the end, that's what music is. How does it hit your ears? If it sounds good, that's it. Like I said, this track we just did for the tribute album coming up. If it sounds good, who cares if it's live or it's not, right?
Yeah.
It sounds good. Who cares who's on it? I mean, the whole purist thing goes out the window. Like I said, by the fourth or fifth year, they were just, they were already having ghost tracks. So, in the end, it really does come down to the music, funny enough.
Yeah.
Does it sound good? And at the end, that should be it.
Well, Jason, I could talk to you all night, but I know you got to go and eat your dinner. But before I let you go, I just want to say thanks again for taking time to do this. I'd love to talk to you again, do a follow-up interview down the line. But until then...
It'll be the first one we call when we get our new guy, because we're going to do something real special to debut our new person. We've already got something special planned in the works. So make sure you're a part of that.
I love the thought of it. So thanks for keeping us in mind, and thanks for doing this, like I said. And if you give me a couple...
I want to thank you. I was checking on your website and all the people you've been flying the flag for this kind of music in a big way over there, and I really appreciate what you guys do. I really do. Not just tribute bands, but national bands and touring bands and people that I grew up listening to. And you're over there, with your finger on the pulse. And so I want to encourage you guys to please keep doing what you're doing, because it definitely helps this scene out for sure. Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you before I let you go that honestly, like with what you do. I'm kind of a fanboy right here, and the fact of the matter is that I love this kind of music, and so like talking to guys like you and finding out about what you do, I'm as into that as that's why when you listen back to these interviews, you can tell it's stuff that I'm really into, and I really enjoy talking.
How cool is it that we both get to do that? You know what I mean? That if that's what the way you dig it, and you get to do that, and I get to go up there and play it and stuff, and I mean, we're pretty lucky guys, right?
Yeah. I can't.
At the end of the day, I'm a pretty lucky guy to be able to get to do what I do for fun.
Yeah, I can't complain, and I gotta say,
can't say it any better than that.
I gotta say, we're still booking interviews with various tribute bands, and there's more to come, and we got some more of it we haven't even posted, so there's more to come. But thanks so much.
I look forward to hearing all of them.
Thanks so much, Jason. I promise I'll be in touch, and the last thing I'm going to say is if you give me a couple hours, I will be sure before I check in for the night to send you an MP3 file of the interview we just did, and you're welcome to do whatever you want with it, and in a couple of days when I get it posted, I'll be sure to let you know.
Great, I appreciate that. Thanks a lot, man.
Okay, well, you enjoy the rest of your evening, and thanks so much. I promise I'll be in touch again. Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you.